Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever. We all know that real evangelization is not the result of programs or courses, expensive diocesan extravaganzas, or even special years or decades. Evangelization is usually personal witness, friendship, good example, and correct speech. I've yet to hear of someone being converted by a logo. St. Paul, as he begins to conclude his letter to the Colossians, has one verse which can be the source of meditation for this week and which can be pondered deeply. He writes in chapter 4, verses 5 to 6, "Walk with wisdom towards outsiders, making the most of the time. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer everyone." Another translation has, "Conduct yourselves wisely towards outsiders," but I like, "walk with wisdom." As I always say, it's important to see what immediately precedes any passage one quotes, and we discover that Paul is writing to them from prison, but asking them to pray for him not so his conditions get better, as we would all do, but that God may open for us a door for the word to declare the mystery of Christ. What a beautiful request. He's asking, even in prison, that he can evangelize, that God can open a door. In other words, give him an opportunity to declare the mystery of Christ. That's what evangelization is, and it's always personal. It is finding that door with another person to do our job as baptized Christians, bringing others to the Lord. Let's be honest, we now have many opportunities or doors which God is giving us, as so many of our contemporaries don't know anything of the faith, especially in Europe, but all over the West. The young are uncatechized, often unbaptized, and truly ignorant of the basic aspects of the faith. Much more than that, when Paul says he wishes to declare the mystery of Christ, he's talking about revealing to others the deepest needs of their hearts, which can only be satisfied by that very mystery, the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Therefore, walking with wisdom towards outsiders first means an awareness that an outsider is someone who doesn't share the assumptions, knowledge, culture, and practice of the faith. I think sometimes those in the institutional church, and many of us, don't realize how not just unchurched our contemporaries are, but how peculiar we might be to them. Walking with wisdom, or conducting ourselves wisely, means thinking before we speak, knowing when silence is appropriate, but also when silence is cowardice. Yet the language we choose must, St. Paul says, be gracious. That's more than pleasant speech, including, of course, courtesy and kindness, but also, from its equivalent ancient Greek word, furnishing what is needed. I find that very helpful. Let your speech be both kind and compassionate and courteous, but say what needs to be said. He adds the biblical image of salt, as the Lord himself told us to be the salt of the earth. This courteous, necessary, and compassionate speech, which is evangelization, but it's got to have some flavor, some zing. The bland leading the bland evangelize no one, not even the dull and the dreary. Salty speech is not its modern connotation. It is speech which is seasoned with just what is needed, so as St. Paul says, you may know how to answer everyone. I find this one verse immensely powerful and worth thinking about deeply. Brethren, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, like a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.